Revokes and penalty cards. Penalty cards, or PCs, were mentioned in session 1 about leads out of turn. Most of you will be familiar with the concept of a penalty card, basically a card that has been exposed incorrectly. There are two types of penalty cards, major and minor. The vast majority of penalty cards are major, but let's look at what constitutes each type. A minor penalty card is a card below the rank of an honour that has been exposed inadvertently. An honour is any ace, king, queen, jack, or 10. The most common example of this is when a card falls out of a player's hand or is stuck to another card and is played more or less simultaneously with another card. A major penalty card is a card that has been exposed due to an irregularity, either a lead out of turn or a revoke. A card that has been exposed inadvertently but is an honour is also a major penalty card. And in the event a player has 2 or more penalty cards on the table, they are all major penalty cards regardless of rank or how they got there. If you are a declarer, you cannot have a penalty card. No card of declarer or dummy ever becomes a penalty card. If there is a major penalty card on the table, then, as declarer, when the partner of the offender comes on lead, you should call the director, who will tell you that you may demand or forbid the lead of a card of that suit from the partner. If you do this, the card is returned to the offender's hand. Alternatively, you can instruct them to lead naturally, in which case it stays on the table. The presence of a penalty card on the table is unauthorised information to that person's partner. So if your partner has a penalty card on the table, you are not allowed to take any advantage of knowing it is there. And if the director rules that you do, you can expect an adjusted score and a procedural penalty. A major penalty card must always be played at the first legal opportunity. So, if you have a major penalty card on the table and you can't follow suit, you must play the card, as much as it may pain you to do so. That means if you are a declarer and you can see an opportunity for this card to be discarded when it might otherwise have done some damage, you can take advantage of it. We'll look at an example later. If you get on lead when you have a major penalty card on the table, you must lead it. Declarer has no additional options here. I should mention here that if you have a major penalty card and you play a card out of your hand, which may include leading, when you should have played the penalty card, the declarer can choose to accept that card as the one played. If they don't, you would have to play the original penalty card, and the card you tried to play instead becomes a major penalty card. In the rare event there is a minor penalty card on the table, the rules are different. There is no lead restriction as there is for a major penalty card, but again, the existence of that card is unauthorised information, and the partner must lead naturally with the possibility of an adjusted score and procedural penalty if the director judges that they use the unauthorised information to their advantage. The other difference is that a minor penalty card does not have to be played at the first legal opportunity. If you have, for example, the 8 of hearts on the table as a penalty card and declarer leads a heart, if you have an honour in hearts, you may play that instead and leave the 8 on the table. However, you would not be allowed to play another card below the rank of an honour instead of the 8. Don't feel bad about taking advantage of a major penalty card being on the table. Let's say you are in 3-no trumps, and with 5 cards left you hold the following: Jack 10, 9 of spades, 5 of hearts, 10 of diamonds. The Queen of Diamonds is on the table as a major penalty card. There are 2 more spades out, but you hold the top 3. The Queen of Diamonds is the best diamond. So, playing the 3 spades and forcing the Queen of Diamonds to be discarded so you make your 10 would be a sensible play. It may feel a bit wrong, but you are entitled to do this. It does occasionally happen that there are 2 or more penalty cards on the table from the same player. This could be because they dropped 2 cards by accident, or, more commonly, that they have failed to play a major penalty card on the table. If there are 2 penalty cards on the table, and remember that as soon as there are 2 penalty cards, they are major penalty cards regardless of their rank, then when it comes time to play one, it is up to declarer to choose which one. Of course, if, for example, one is the 8 of hearts and the other is the 6 of spades, and a spade is led, the 6 of spades would have to be played. But if they can't follow suit or are on lead, declarer chooses which one is to be played. In terms of lead restrictions, it goes like this. If all the penalty cards are in the same suit and declarer prohibits or demands the lead of that suit, all the penalty cards are picked up. If the penalty cards are in different suits, declarer can demand or forbid the lead of one of those suits, in which case the penalty card in that suit gets picked up. The declarer could also forbid the lead of all the suits, in which case all the penalty cards are picked up. Hopefully, the rules around playing a penalty card then are clear. We have already looked at leads out of turn causing penalty cards, so now let's look at another common infraction or irregularity, revokes. The change to the Revoke Law back in 2017 was, I believe, the best change that was made. It changed the definition of when a revoke becomes established and made it possible to be able to correct it. Similar to the rule with an insufficient bid being able to be changed to a comparable call, it meant there was less penalty for making a simple error. A revoke is only established when the person who made the revoke or their partner plays to the next trick. So if you have a heart in your hand and a heart is led and you play a spade, you have until you or your partner plays to the next trick to say, I've revoked. At that stage, the director will be called and you can substitute the spade for the heart. And the spade is a major penalty card and the rules around lead restrictions apply. There is no cause for adjustment. All cards played subsequent to your spade can be picked up and changed. If you are declarer, you still do the same, but of course you can't have a penalty card. The subsequent cards can still be played after you have corrected yours, and in this case, any cards the opposition played is authorised information to their partner, but unauthorised information to you. However, if a revoke has been established, it is too late to change the incorrectly played card with a legal one. There is no need to call the director at this point, but you should politely inform your opposition that you believe there has been a revoke. Call the director at the end and make sure that nobody touches their cards until the director arrives. It is an enduring frustration to me as a director that I arrive at a table and there are cards turned face up, higgledy-piggledy, or even worse, shuffled and put away. If this latter happens, I will rule in favour of the other side. So, if nothing else comes out of this, remember that if there is a query about a revoke, to not touch your cards until the director gets there. If you have revoked and it is established, and you won that trick, there is a one trick transfer to the other side, plus one subsequent trick won by your side, if you have indeed won one. It is important to note that it must be the revoke card that won the trick. If you are declarer, and you revoked by playing the wrong card in your hand, but you won the trick in dummy, then this does not apply. Similarly, if you are defender and your partner won the trick, this does not apply. If you have revoked and it is established, and the revoke card did not win the trick, then if your side won a subsequent trick, then one trick is transferred. If you didn't win that trick and your side didn't win any more tricks, then there is obviously no damage, so no adjustment needs to be made. The purpose of transferring tricks after an established revoke is to restore equity, not to penalise. When assessing any adjustment to a score, the key consideration for the director is to award the result that would have been made had there been no irregularity. much like the situation with the hesitation. If the opposition have revoked and, because of that, you lost more tricks than the law transfers to you, you need to tell the director and explain what would have happened without the revoke. Let's look at an example. Let's say you are North and declare and 3 no trumps. You are on lead and after 6 tricks, these are the hands. You lead the 10 of spades from hand and East plays the 5 of hearts. So you now put up your ace and win your 2 heart tricks and then play the 6 of diamonds. This is won by West, who plays a club to East's king and queen, who then, to your great surprise, cashes the king of spades. End result is you have won 3 of the tricks and East-West have won 4. The player who revoked didn't win the trick, so there is an automatic transfer of 1 trick, meaning you have now won 4 of them. However, had the revoke not occurred, you would have won 6 of them. So, the score you will enter will be the result. You lead the 10 of spades from your hand and East plays the 5 of hearts. So you now put up your ace and win your 2 heart tricks, and then play the 6 of diamonds. This is won by West, who plays a club to East's king and queen, who then, to your great surprise, cashes the king of spades. End result is you have won 3 of the tricks and East-West have won 4. The player who revoked didn't win the trick, so there is an automatic transfer of 1 trick, meaning you have now won 4 of them. However, had the revoke not occurred, you would have won 6 of them. So the director will work out what the result would have been had you won 6 further tricks as you should have, and instruct you to enter that as the result. On the flip side, a revoke may occur and 1 or 2 tricks are transferred as per the law, but in actual fact, the revoke made no difference at all to the result. This is more common than you might think. In such a case, you can advise the director that you wish to waive this, but this is not something that is commonly done. While I don't have any qualms about taking advantage of opposition's mistake to get a better result, such as a lead restriction or making them dispose a penalty card, I personally always waive the trick transfer if it is clear that the revoke made no difference to the result. I'm not saying you should all do this, but you might wish to consider it. To finish today's session, let's answer the question of whether or not dummy can revoke. As you saw in the session on dummy's rights and restrictions, dummy has an obligation to not revoke. So if declarer calls for a card of a different suit to the one that should be played, dummy is obliged to point this out, so declarer plays a correct card. However, it is possible for dummy to revoke. If, at any stage during the play of the hand, or at the end of the hand, it is noticed that dummy has 1 less card than everyone else, play stops until that card is found and restored to dummy. It may be hidden under a card already on the table, or it may be elsewhere in the room, usually at the previous table on the floor. Let's say declarer is in no trumps and is running their diamond suit, which is void in dummy, and has discarded 3 other cards from dummy, when suddenly they realise they have 4 cards left in their hand and only 3 in dummy. The director is called and the 5 of diamonds is spotted on the floor at the previous table. The 5 of diamonds is now placed back in dummy. Dummy has revoked because that 5 should have been played earlier. The revoke law now kicks in and the appropriate trick transfer is applied. The key thing to remember is that there is no penalty for revoking. The law aims to restore equity, to end up with the result that would have occurred without the revoke. The revoke law can therefore sometimes be too harsh, and that is where, as a player, you have the option to waive rectification. Also remember that it is much better if you can stop a revoke being established. As declarer, you may politely ask a defender who hasn't followed suit if they don't have any of that suit. Dummy can ask declarer, and the defender can ask their partner or declarer. If you can catch a revoke before it is established, then not only do you get the advantage of a major penalty card on the table, if you are a declarer, you save potential hassle and time at the end of the hand sorting out the rectification.